Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I was supposed to be posting this video on fucking Friday, but like the weekend was the weekend, bro. I was beat. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I ain't even gonna say I didn't lie to y'all, but I'm happy you guys are back. Oh yeah, let's take these notifications off, bro. We gotta put this on folk D&D. We can't do that right now for the video. Alright, so this week I'm looking at EU and GU. So I'm gonna give you my full weekly breakdown on what I expect coming into the next couple days, and also just a full analysis on what I feel as though EU and GU both have been doing these past couple of weeks. So I'm gonna go to GU first because GU was actually what I was looking at primarily. All right. Let me get off the 4 hour though. So I'm gonna come to the weekly. So this is the first thing that I noticed when I was coming to the weekly time frame. All right. So I seen that we had an area up here where we pushed down really hard. Okay. And why is this area so concerning to me? It's because long weeks prior, we had all of this bullish momentum. Okay. All this bullish momentum. Lows, highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And then we came to this level right here, right? Came to that level and we pushed off. So this is right roughly around $1.37 we came down. So already in my head looking at the weekly time frame, I'm like, okay, anything under $1.37 is bearish. Okay, because not only did we push down for some weeks, mind you, looking at the weekly time frame, we pushed down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks going straight down, roughly 5.5 weeks going straight down, right? Retested 2 weeks, consolidated for a couple weeks, and then we pushed up, made this crazy wick, came back to this level, and then we came down, closed right here below that previous week. At that, we came down, closed below this previous week. So just this alone was already giving me so much confidence in the sellers because they're showing conviction, you know. So after we get this move, we push down. Now this is where I was really interested. So coming down with this information, because now we know that this level as well, anything below this level, it's bearish, right? Because we came down, came up, closed, came up, closed, consolidated, closed all under this level, right? It continued over here, but we're not there yet. But this is what I also noticed. I'll bring my arrow over here. I don't want to keep making new arrows. Came down to the daily time frame. And mind you, this is all before this trade. All right. So everything is in context. All right. So I'm looking at this bullish movement right here. I said, okay, this is looking like bulls has stepped in from this time. All right. Now, why do I say that? It's because you notice how price was coming down above this level that we have marked up here. Price was coming down, making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower highs. And then we stopped here. We stopped going any lower. We didn't make any more lows. Okay, this was the last low. Okay. And then price indicated, and this is where ICC comes in. Price indicated that, hey, we like to buy right here. Bulls like to buy at this level. Price goes up strongly, closing above each other for days, right? So this is the indication. Then price started to consolidate. Notice that? Traded sideways for quite some time. Came back down, corrected itself, and made a higher low. So now we have a clear area of support. Or in other words, this is where buyers like to camp. So we know that for a fact, buyers like to camp here. Why? Because they indicated that they want to push off of this level. They don't want sellers to come down no lower than this level. I could bring that down a little bit. Consolidated or traded sideways. We can make a little box there if we want. So this is no trend. We just consolidated. Gonna make this a different color. Then it corrected itself. Indication, consolidation, correction. And if you don't really understand what I'm saying, go look at my last video, because I let people know that, I see other people that teach this way of trading, ICC, but they're missing something, because every market isn't the same. All right, so like I mentioned in my last video, it's not always indication, correction, then continuation. There are consolidating moments, as you can see, especially if you're swing trading, you're looking at these time frames. I'm looking at the daily. Okay, so notice that this consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This consolidated for like a week and a half until it corrected itself and created this higher low, and actually confirming this support zone where buyers like to sit. Okay, so it's not always indication, correction, continuation. That's your expectations. That's our expectations. We can't, how can I put it? We can't always predict what the market is going to do just because we have this theory in mind. Okay, we have to predict our moves off of the market's reactions. Put it like that. Okay, because mind you, we're going off of price action. There's no indicators on the screen. We're going strictly off of price action and following what price is saying to do, because it's showing us exactly what it wants to do. So after we had all of this information here, right, we know now this is an area where buyers like to press. Then we get the continuation. Now, with this in mind, we're back up to this level where we say, or where we figure that anything under this level, okay, is sellers territory, or in other words, sellers are still in control under this level. So as I notice, after we made this higher low, because the trend was still going high, higher low, higher high, higher low, consolidation, new high, new higher low, and this was the all-time high. Not the all-time high, but you know what I mean, the previous week's high, previous month's high, I can say. Okay, came up here, and then we broke this trend. So now I'm looking at this the opposite way. Okay, we got an indication from the bulls. This is what an indication from the bulls look like. Okay, nice, strong, and intentional, straightforward, intentional. Nothing about this was like this consolidation period, this choppy period right here, or anything like right here, or nothing like right here. It was intentional. Just like the moves after these corrections, they were all intentional. So once I seen the bear's intention, 1, 2, 3, 4 days, I said, well, this is the bears indicating that they are regaining control of the market. Why? Because anything under this level was bears territory. Push down, push down. We can even just drag this over and just look at it. Push down, push down, push down, push down. So now we have clear indication. That doesn't mean we trade yet, but we have clear indication that price no longer wants to respect this bullish trend. That means buyers are no longer in control. Okay, so what do we get after an indication? In this case, in the overall scheme of things, the sellers are in control. So notice how this correction plays out with the sellers. Buyers sweep previous day's liquidity. In other words, this candle's wick goes lower than this previous day's wick, sweeps liquidity, and goes up, corrects itself. Then after that, we get a continuation. This day's candle sweeps this high, pushing price down for the continuation. Okay? But notice how at the time of this correction, there was no consolidating period like it was down here for the buyers. See, we got this indication, but we consolidated, and then we corrected, and then continued. Why? Because buyers, even though this was their moment to shine, of course, because they have to make money as well, this was never their market. Why? Because everything under these levels is sellers' control. So now moving forward, now we're here. So we got this information, and it's crazy because I had entries up here and I moved my stop loss way too early. I moved my stop loss way too early and just settled for break even. So I had to get back in on this next correction right here. But notice, after we made this correction, we broke this level. So now we're creating new lows. We're creating new lows. So we got a high, a low, lower high, lower low. This low is lower than this low. Lower low, lower high. So now we can speculate that we are now correcting, again, sweeping this previous day's liquidity and moving down. I'm currently in this trade right now. And moving down. So we can speculate because we have clear indication that sellers are in control and regain the market. We have context supporting that indication. Coming from a bigger time frame. And remember, bigger time frames are always going to tell you better. It's going to tell you better data. We got bigger context. Price held under this level. Price held under this level. Came back up, and this is where we're currently at now. Some weeks later, some months later. Okay. And we can even dig deeper. Like, we can just dig deeper, looking at the 4 hour. And it's about structure. It's just about structure, for real. I lost my arrow. High, low, lower high, lower low. Well, this actually was the previous low. This was actually the low, but this got broken. This got broken. But notice how price starts rejecting right above this level. This was once a high. It was once a high. But prices ended up going down in the seller's favor. Why? Because it's still a seller's market. So what I can see overall is that sellers are currently in control. But now you got to determine like where sellers are going. So the 4 hour really wasn't telling me nothing. So I had to look on the daily. So I need a real, not a made up place. No, I don't want this. Not a made up place, but like a real place where I can say, okay, this is the place where I could say buyers are coming. So for me, I'm looking at previous swing lows in the bull's favor. And that would look like this. So price could potentially come here and bounce. Could potentially come back here and bounce. So these areas are the areas that I want to target for my TPs. And for me, and this is just for me, and that might not be for everybody, but for me, that that gives me not just more clarity on where I would like these trades to go, but gives me less fear of saying, oh, when should I get out of this trade? Just because you're in profit X amount of dollars, you want to close your trade. Like, no, you don't have to close your trade if nothing is changing. So in my case, I'm swinging this, okay? So in my case, for me to change bias, I guess you can say, or for me to close my positions, I would need highs to be broken. So in this case, this is the closest high right here, right now. This is the closest high. And yeah, I could have my stop loss a little lower. I could. Not gonna lie. But it is what it is. I like where it's at. But this will be the high. So if this high ends up getting broken, I'll close my trade and leave with the loss. And it's funny because my entry is right there, so it really wouldn't hurt for me to close my trade in this sense. Okay, just because I have a good entry. All right. And this is the 4-hour time frame, mind you. All right. So this was 8 hours ago I entered this trade. About 8 hours ago. All right. So for me to close this trade at this point it would make no sense, because lows are being broken. This previous low was broken. That means price closed under this level multiple times. Okay. Retested. Did not break any highs. Didn't break any highs. So therefore, that's giving me more context to my bias. All right. That means that I have no reason to close this trade until structure changes. And if you don't get no information from your 4-hour, go to your 1 hour. Okay. Just imagine like how many people like they got in, they seen this. This was Sunday. Okay. On the 18th. This was Sunday. Imagine how many people thought, oh, it's buying, it's going up, it's going up. This is literally just a liquidity sweep. If we go on the daily, look at the daily. Swept previous day's low. Previous day. This is the daily candle. Swept these lows and just corrected. This was just a retest in the overall grand scheme of things, because price is, as we already concluded, is bearish, because it's still under an area where bears have control. And not only is it under an area where bears have control, it's also indicated, corrected, and continued, showing that this is intentional. Everything that happened here was intentional. It wasn't retail, it wasn't by accident, it wasn't a fucking tooth fairy. Everything was intentional. Okay? Nothing is by accident. So, same situation is going on now. Same situation. And if we look at EU, I'm going to look at EURUSD because I'm in this trade too. EU is literally the same thing now. Of course, I have it all marked up. It's all funny right now. All right, so I'm going to delete some of these lines. But we can go to the weekly and look at the same thing. Come down to the weekly. And this is more interesting to me because on the weekly, it actually is a weekly support area. Okay? You see that? Price comes up, goes down. Comes up, goes down even lower. Comes up, goes right back down. So this is already telling me anything under this level is sellers playing ground. Everything under here is sellers playing ground. Now, if price starts breaking above this level, that's when you can start expecting price to give you an indication that it wants to go up, but wait for the correction. Okay? But we're not there, unfortunately. But same situation. I've seen that sellers are in control. And if you don't know, GU and EU is literally trade like cousins. So look at the daily. Look at the daily. I can show you the daily on EU and GU. Same situation. Buyers came down here. showed the level where they wanted to support. Price came down. Buyers indicated, corrected, and continued the same exact way as GU, like the same exact way. Broke this bullish trend, gave us an indication. Let's get in there. Gave us an indication, corrected itself, then continued. Retested, continued. And we're here again. Where's our targets? Where's our TPs? Well, we know that buyers were sitting here. Buyers were sitting right here, but we broke out of that. So we got to go down to a new level. This is the new level. Why is this the new level for me? Well, for two reasons. One, we're at an area where buyers created support after the indication, the correction, the continuation, support. Made a low, made a higher low, and then pushed crazy. And then came down here, kind of retested for a couple days, and then pushed off. So this is my next level, okay? Because if you're looking at it from this standpoint, you shouldn't even be thinking about, oh, my TP is right here. My TP's here. Like, no, your TP should be down here, bro. Because if we're in this trend, we're expecting lows to be broken. Low, broken. Low, broken. And there's just retests. Notice how these retests are short, too. 1 day, 2 days. We're on the second day right now. We're already... Hold on, let me turn this upside down. We're on the second day. We just opened this 8 hours ago. All right? So, like I said, it should be no reason to be closing your trades unless structure is changing on your smaller time frames. Same situation right here. And I actually have my stop loss above this level. Okay? Like I actually should on GU, but I didn't set it. Same situation. If this high ends up getting broken, I'm out of this trade. There's no reason for me to be in it. This high gets broken, I'm out. No problem. I move on to the next trade. All right? Same situation, EU and GU. You may thought I just stayed on the same screen. I literally just switched them, EU and GU. Same situation. Broke levels, came down. So, like I said, this is, for me, it's just like looking at it like this is just textbook, because the real indicators are price action. And we see it when it breaks trends and shifts structure and change of character. All that shit that you probably spend years learning about is like super irrelevant. I'm not saying it's not relevant, but it's irrelevant to what price action has to tell you, because price action is always going to tell you the truth. All right, so I'm gonna do an update on this going on throughout the week, and we're gonna come back and check on these trades because I'm actually in GBPUSD as well. I don't know if I want to do a breakdown on this. I don't know. Maybe for the next video. But I am in sales on GBPUSD as well. I'm not in profit right now, but it's fine. It's okay. My stops is actually going to be above this level. I just entered this trade before the video. Give me a break. All right, so that's all I got for right now, you guys. I'm going to do an update sometime this week. If not Wednesday, see what price does on by Wednesday. Definitely on Thursday or Friday. I hope everybody has a great week. If you haven't already, drop a like if you like my videos. If you support me, if you don't, that's cool as well. It really doesn't matter. Still gonna keep making these shits either way. Because I do this shit for the people. I don't care about, it's not about the money. It's about the quality of the quality of the setups, because anybody could teach you fair value gaps and order blocks and change of character and BOS and all this shit. And it's just like, bruh, you gonna charge me $100 a month for that shit? Nah, bro. I give you that shit for free, y'all. But definitely subscribe if you like my channel, y'all. I'm gonna be making more videos. I'm gonna do an update on this trade. Till then, ICC.